Good evening, everyone. Baxter here with Training with Baxter, and welcome to my Facebook Live this evening. It's been a beautiful day today on this fine Thursday, and so tonight I want to talk about a couple of things here, as you've seen by the headline on my page, when I wrote this up here, that we're going to talk about marketing, and that's going to be about shotgun versus sniper, and which one or which way would be better. And so I thought I'd just kind of explain some ideas that's in my head, and it will help you out a little bit. Maybe as some people may not understand exactly what a shotgun is, they may not understand what a sniper is, and so how we can apply that to marketing to a certain degree. And so, of course, we know when we're talking about marketing, we're referring to ourselves. It's what Training with Baxter is about, is learning how to market and then sharing those things with you, and then or learning from you as many times you might put something on the page as well, or I see things out there that might strike my attention that I find would be very useful to you. So this evening we'll talk about, and I read this here in the article, and we'll talk about what article that was here in just a little bit, but you know, to use shotgun marketing versus sniper marketing. So we need to understand that a shotgun is basically, it is a weapon that has, you know, where you can put 1 to 5 shells in it, depending on what kind you got. Some of them have different type magazines and different purposes and different applications, so it might carry many different things, but just assume that it carried 1 shell. Now a shotgun is designed with a long barrel, could be 28 to 32 inches. Some in that design, again, the design doesn't matter. It's got a barrel to it that's longer to your arm, fits up on your shoulder like so. And when you pull that trigger, there is a thing inside of that is called a shotgun shell. Okay, I'm no artist, but here we go at this anyway. Is that a shotgun shell has several parts in it, and that is, you got like so. We're making this here kind of big. This here's a firing pin. Down at the bottom is a firing pin. When you pull the trigger, there's a little piece of steel that hits the bottom of this. It ignites this one right here. Inside of here is what you call, might be powder, gunpowder, if you will. Then you have a packing up here, you know, which is a piece of plastic usually, that this powder ignites, and it forces this piece of packing to come up. Now above this here packing is a bunch of little pellets, and you can have from buckshot to birdshot, and it goes from a number 8 all the way down to a double aught buck, which means that you got stuff as big as fishing sinkers or as big as a pencil eraser, if for those you might want to associate that, inside of this here. And so it's filled with little BBs all the way inside this thing, all the way here to the top as such, okay? And then this top is folded down. Well, whenever you pull the trigger on the gun, it ignites this little igniter right here, firing pin inside that, firing tip. It lights off the powder. The powder then pushes this here. The shell opens up at the top, and all this here stuff flies out as such. And the further out it goes, the wider it gets. Okay? And I used to do dove hunting and quail hunting and some duck hunting as well. And this is what I would use when I went out there. One, because the ducks would fly so high and they fly in a V form, and so you would use a shotgun hoping that one of these pellets, as it went up, would hit that animal and they'd come falling to the ground and you'd have supper. A quail or a dove are very fast, and they're very small, not much bigger than your hand, and they're zooming through the air, and so you can't hit them like with a single rock or a rifle or something like that when they're in motion. And if you're out in a field, which is normally where you were, they would fly across, and then you'd want to shoot them again for supper. And even with this type of shell, is what they would call, referred to many times, would be a 7.5 high brass, which meant it had a brass skirt on it. And so anyway, this would shoot out, and many times you would still miss the bird. And that's the point I want to make, is that when you're using this type of system in marketing, many times when you're after a certain prospect, a certain type of customer, even though you're throwing stuff out there, you're shooting everywhere, scattering these BBs all over the place, you're still not going to hit that customer. So basically, as I was doing in the field many times, I was wasting money because I was not hitting the bird often enough to have supper every single day. And so this is the idea behind what shotgun marketing is just you're just going to go out there and scatter your information, your ad everywhere, and hopefully somebody will see it and they'll come in. Now, we look at the other thing, the other side of this over here, which is going to be sniper marketing. Okay. Now, sniper marketing is a little different. Sniper marketing is referred to in the services or different kind of armed forces as such, as a person who would be a lone person who would go out by themselves many times, or they'd be dropped off somewhere or parachuted out or whatever, but their job was to go and to find one person or one persons as they happen to appear in a certain field or area or whatever, and they were to try to take them out if they were the enemy, and so they would be snipers picking them off one by one. Now, if I do now, so this guy would use a rifle. Okay, now a rifle or a rifle shell is the same thing. It's a long barrel type thing, fits on your shoulder, but it fires a single shot. And so again, you would have your firing pin thing in the bottom of it here, and you would have a metal casing that would come up, and this would all be filled with powder. And I'm turning away from you. I hope you can hear me. But this whole thing will be filled with powder. And up here it depends on the size of the rifle bullet that your bullet could be of many shapes, or it could be pointed. You know, it would depend. It could be rounded. It depends on what size, what kind, whatever. But the idea is that you have one bullet inside of that, okay? So again, when you pull the trigger, the powder would ignite, and the one bullet would then take off and hit the target. Now, I go back to myself in the hunting example that whenever I was younger, and I used to hunt, I don't hunt anymore. Meat's too readily at the market. I can just go out and buy some, be done with it, and not waste all that money or that time. It's just my opinion about it. But the idea is, whenever I was smaller, and Granddaddy would say, go get me a squirrel, and they'd go get the shotgun because they raced across the tree, and he taught me one day, he said, no, you don't never use that, because when you do shoot that squirrel with the shotgun, there's a bunch of little metal balls all in him. You got to pick them all out or you can't eat them, breaks your teeth, that thing. So he taught me how to use a rifle. And he was very good with it. He could strike a match, and I'm talking about a wood stove match. Was a small match, had a little white spot on the top of the head, and he could shoot that thing with a bullet close enough that the match would light up just as if you lit a lighter. And not many people know what that is either. But the idea was he taught me how to shoot that, and I became so good that when a squirrel would stop, I could shoot him in the head. I know it sounds ugly to some people, but the idea was I had one bullet per squirrel, and I killed him with a clean shot, and we had supper, dinner, whatever we might have cooked him for. And so the idea in marketing, again, is the same idea. When you're using a rifle, you have to have an avatar, and I hope I can write this backwards for you. And I might not even have spelled that right. Avatar, which means you know who you're going after. Your prospect, you have a written down list of who it is you want to go after. So when you go out here and you put your ad out, it is directly targeted for this one person, whoever it might be. An example, I'm in the hardware store business, okay? And on Facebook, if I want to sell something to contractors who build residential houses only, then that's what I go in, I put in, and I search in there contractors, residential building, and then it gives me a demographic area or a certain part, and I can choose in that Facebook page from a 25, I can choose to find this guy right here within, let's just say, a 25-mile radius. of my store. I can choose a 50, I can choose a 100 mile, I can choose to 1 mile. And Facebook will deliver that message to that one contractor or to contractors one at a time. And so therefore I'm able to get leads or people who come in that are interested in buying lumber from me to build houses with, which is what I want. It's the same idea with your marketing of whatever business you have. You want to know who your customer is, what they can use, and then you want to target that one customer with sniper-like efficiency, if that's the right word, with that kind of a where you can zero in on that one target and be able to supply their needs, rather than using a shotgun where you're just going to scatter this everywhere out there, hoping that you'll hit a target somewhere and be able to get somebody in. Because many times, it's like I was when I hunted the doves and the quail, I'd come home empty-handed, even out of shells, and therefore I had to work all next week to get some more shells to go back, and we don't want that. That's not a good thing to have. So, in my opinion then, if you're going to go out and do marketing, you want to do sniper marketing, because that's what's going to give you the best value, and it's going to give you the highest quality customer. It's going to get you the best lead. Now, there's another way that this is learned. You can see more about this. It's only one tip, okay? In a free 10-day boot camp I'd like for you to have. And this boot camp in this here, whenever he describes this part of it, he uses a little different scenario, and he'll describe that. And I'd like you to have that. So if you would like to, and you'll find this link at the top of my page up here, also already there in my outline. But anyway, this here, if you will go over there to this site right here, www. How about that? I went backwards. I'm writing backwards anyway. .com/AMF and sign up right there, and you'll be able to get you a free 10-day boot camp that covers this here in a little different scenario where he's talking about using letters in a way to describe that. And it gives you a different view, because not everybody understands what I just went through with that. But the idea is, you're going to get started in marketing, or if you're doing marketing, you certainly want to target the right customers, not just throw mud against the wall, not just waste your shots out there in the air and end up with nobody and disappointed, and then you quit. You want to learn how to do this the right way. And so here is like I said, this is a 10-day boot camp, and this is just part of the first point. And so there's 9 more points in there, and also an explanation of a different view of what I just done over this. So if you will, take the time, click on the link above. It should take you right to that page. Sign up and get your free 10-day boot camp about marketing. Thank you, my friends, and we will see you next time on Training with Baxter. Have a good evening.